Grand Bayou Casino, I-10 at the Gross 10 exit. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-877-770-STOP. The Grand Bayou Casino.
The Pierre Part Store, and now the Thibodeau Store, your local experts in construction supplies. You know they can handle your contractor supplies for all jobs, big and small. The extensive selection of plumbing, electrical, and hardware supplies are endless, and they can even deliver it to your job site. If you need lumber, no problem. Available for pickup and delivery from Pierre Part. Top-notch tools and expert advice. It's local service. From the Thibodeau Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau, and online at thibodeaustore.com.
Running a business can be difficult enough without the right relationship with your bank. With United Community Bank's local business bankers, you're not just a number, you're a partner. Contact Heath Meir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, or David Henry to discuss how we can help your business today. United Community Bank, the local way to bank big. Locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow. We've been serving the people of Southern Louisiana for over 60 years. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
At Custom Colors Body and Paint, we're excited to have Will Rapp and Ian McKnight on our team. They're continuing the tradition of exceptional service that Billy Rapp and Pete McKnight began back in 1987.
Custom Colors, located on Industrialplex off Seagan.
Insurance companies have teams of professionals to fight your claim. If you want to know what your case is really worth, I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7970.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you in the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday, working towards the weekend, brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Got Jordan Kitchens, Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos, fired up. You are here with us. We got a lot to cover over the next 2 hours. Is Alvin Kamara's time in New Orleans done? Kellen Moore was asked that question today, and his answer I thought was fascinating. We'll get to it in 15 minutes. Joe Healey, D1 Baseball's SEC Extra Team at 1:30. Can't wait for that discussion. Huge weekend, opening weekend of SEC baseball coming your way starting tomorrow. Zion Theophilus, freshman right-hander, hasn't pitched a lot, but he did something pretty cool on Tuesday that we'll discuss. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, with us at 2:15, and perhaps a little bit of LSU basketball aftermath in the second hour as well. Not necessarily what they did on the floor, but like, where are we right now with that situation? We'll get into that in hour number 2 as well. Let's crank things up the way we do every day with our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
So let's start with LSU baseball. Tomorrow, and with Joe Healey coming up here in 30 minutes, we'll get into LSU and Vanderbilt in depth. I think it's an interesting series, and we'll certainly do that. But today I wanted to take the big picture look at LSU in the Southeastern Conference. We know how impactful these 30 games are. We know that LSU has not played to its standard for 2 weeks, but we know that what happens over the next 10 carries a lot of weight. And it does in quad 1 and 2. It does in your conference standing, in jockeying for position with all these teams in your conference that inevitably are fighting for position, whether it's as a top 8, as a top 16, or to get into the NCAA tournament. You're always going to be grouped in with some of the teams in this league because there just aren't that many leagues to choose from. Like in the NCAA basketball tournament, you've got other leagues to consider at the top. In college football, you've got 3 other significant leagues to look at that carry a lot of weight. In this sport, it's the SEC, it's the ACC 4 rungs below that, it's the Big 12 a couple of rungs below that, and then you're getting down into the Sun Belt at that point. There's no more Pac-12, and everybody else is kind of a one-bid league, so you inevitably get grouped in with your peers in the Southeastern Conference. And sometimes head-to-head carries some weight, and sometimes conference standing carries some weight, and we know how this thing all shakes out in May. So I wanted to take a big look at LSU in the Southeastern Conference and look at their schedule. And what I did this morning was I sat down and I really gave some earnest thought to, based on what I've seen from LSU, from the SEC, and just my knowledge of SEC baseball over the years, what does LSU feel like today? They haven't thrown a single pitch in league play. What do they feel like today? And I put a win-loss total on that. And then I took out the schedule and I wrote it down week 1 through week 10. And I went through and said 2 out of 3 there, 1 out of 3 there, sweep there, 2 out. And I went through the 10 weeks and said, what does that look like on paper? Now, I understand that I'm not going to get all this right. Trying to prognosticate baseball, especially on an individual weekend, is impossible. But I just wanted to see how that shook out. And I was a little bit surprised. Because a lot of times when you do a prediction, you go through it like I did at the second part, and you go through and you say what you think it is, and a number spits out, and it goes, okay, that's what I think they're going to do. And in this case, I just gave a number to start with, and then I went through the schedule, and the numbers actually matched up, which was a little bit surprising that it came out to a number. And so I'll go through it briefly with you here, and ultimately, this is not about what Hunt thinks they're going to be, because that doesn't matter. I know that. But I do think that I can take something from the way the schedule sets up to understand what the sense of urgency's got to be week in and week out. So LSU starts at Vanderbilt. I think LSU's going to win this series. I picked them 2 out of 3. And then you come home for back-to-back weekends against Oklahoma and Kentucky, where I also picked LSU to win 2 out of 3. Then you go on the road to Tennessee and on the road to Ole Miss in consecutive weeks, and I picked LSU to lose both of those series and to win 1 game. A&M comes to Baton Rouge. I picked LSU to win 2 out of 3. Then LSU goes to Mississippi State. I picked LSU to get swept in that series. I believe that's the most difficult series on the schedule. I believe Mississippi State's very good. It's Super Bulldog weekend. I'm going to be there. I'm doing my show there from Friday. I hope LSU goes in there and 10 runs them 3 times in a row. But I picked LSU to get swept in that series. And then you finish with the home weekend against South Carolina. I picked LSU to sweep that series. You go to Georgia. I picked LSU to lose that series 2 out of 3. And then you come back home in the season finale for Florida, and I picked LSU to win that series. I know that was a lot. It was fast and furious. But ultimately, that comes out to 16-14. And when I sat down this morning and said, what does LSU feel like today? I said they feel like a 16-14 team. They feel like a good team. They feel like a team with some flaws. They feel like a team that's going to take their lumps. I don't expect them to win 8 of 10 weekends like they did in 23. It feels like you're going to take your lumps with this team, but I do think that it's a good team. And I think if you go 16-14, you're very, very much in the hosting discussion when this thing settles. Don't lose the rest of your midweek games. Don't play like you have in the midweek for the last 2 weeks. But that's about where I think LSU is right now. It's not to say they won't get a lot better. Jay Johnson's team got a lot better 2 years ago than they were in the beginning of SEC play. But it's just what it feels like to me. And what that ultimately, that exercise netted me was an understanding of how this schedule lays out. I actually went as far, and I'm not going to give you the numbers on this because it won't play on radio. You're driving around. You can't look at my sheet of paper and understand where I'm coming from. But I actually went through LSU's schedule and ranked the 10 weekends from what I thought was the hardest weekend to the easiest. The hardest, I think, is at Mississippi State. The easiest is a home weekend against South Carolina. I think the road trips to Georgia and Ole Miss are 2 and 3. And I think the only home weekend that I have in the 5 most difficult is Texas A&M, because I think A&M is pretty good. But what it netted me was that it's very important for LSU to get off to a good start through the first 3 weeks. Your first 3 weeks are at a Vanderbilt team that is 1 struggling, 2 strikes out a lot against you, who strike out the most batters in the SEC, and 3 has its most talented pitcher likely on the shelf this weekend. It's very important to get off to a good start at Vanderbilt. Then you come home and play Oklahoma and Kentucky. And while Oklahoma and Kentucky are off to very good starts through 4 weeks, we know they're generally not the most talented teams in the Southeastern Conference. They've played well, but I find them to be beatable at the box. You need to get off to a good start at Vanderbilt, home Oklahoma, home Kentucky. Because here's what's coming after the first 3 weeks. At Tennessee. Now, they haven't played great, but it's a hornet's nest at times. They generally play to that ballpark. Now, they haven't hit a lot. It's a hard place to go play. Then you're at Ole Miss. They hit a ton of homers. You're on the road. I like their weekend rotation from what I've seen. Like, that's a tough place to go play and win. It's back-to-back road weekends. You come home to play A&M, who has played very, very well. They've got 1, maybe 2 losses on the season. They got beat by UCLA, and that might be it. But they're good. And then you're at Mississippi State, which I think is the toughest series that you've got on the schedule. It's 3 out of 4 on the road, at Tennessee, at Ole Miss, and then at Mississippi State with 1 weekend at home, Texas A&M in the middle of it. That is the 4-week nightmare. That is a month of just keep your head above water. We know 2 years ago, LSU could not keep its head above water with that beginning 4 weeks, 5 weeks of the season. They had Mississippi State on the road, came home for Vanderbilt, had Florida at home, went to Arkansas, went to Tennessee. It was really, they couldn't keep their head above water. And they started 3-12. That's the month. At Tennessee, at Ole Miss, home A&M, and then at Mississippi State. LSU's got to keep its head above water because the finish, the last 3 weeks, is very manageable. South Carolina stinks. They're coming to the box, okay? That's on the back end of that nightmare month. You got to go to Georgia, and they're tough. And they hit homers there, and it'll be warm, and the ball will be flying. You're going to have to keep up. But you got to play somebody, and then you come home to finish with Florida, who's not playing very well. So you've got 2 out of your last 3 at home. South Carolina and Florida will be beatable. You got to go to Georgia. So you've got 3 at the beginning and 3 at the end I think you can handle. And you need to make hay there because the middle is going to be brutal. And so what does that ultimately mean? It means that the next 3 games are vitally important, as you might know. Because here's the scenario that's a nightmare. This is the nightmare. If you go to Vanderbilt and get beat, and then you go 3-3 against Oklahoma and Kentucky, meaning you drop a series, that means at that point you'd be 4 through 12 games, through 9 games, you'd be 4-5. If you lose 2 of the first 3 series, you'd be 4-5. And then you got that nightmare month coming. And if you get swept once and lose a couple more, all of a sudden the math starts to stack up. Now, it's individual baseball games, and I am well aware that I'm getting out over my skis here trying to prognosticate individual games. It's not the point. I'm not so vain to suggest I can give you 30 win and loss results. What the point of this is now that before we get into the middle of the muck, and you're so knee-deep in what just happened that it's hard to see the forest for the trees, the point is to look at this, take a deep breath, and go, okay, this is going to be really hard, as it always is. It's hard for every team that LSU fields. You can take a look at how things are going to be before you dive into the deep end. And so the first 3 weeks, you are playing teams you can match up with. You've got a team that I think LSU's a good matchup with this weekend in Vanderbilt, and then you've got the box on your side for the next 2. LSU needs to play these first 9 somewhere in the neighborhood of 5-4 or 6-3. If you play them at 6-3, you're in really good shape. Really good shape. Then you can try to keep your head above water in those 4 weeks that are going to be a nightmare. And when you finally come up from that, here comes South Carolina, here comes Florida, and by that point, hopefully you're playing really well, and you can go to Georgia and get things done. We don't know everything there is to know about some of these SEC teams. I don't know much about Georgia because they hadn't played anybody with a pulse yet. And inevitably injuries happen, and teams don't play the way you thought. Last year, who would have thought Florida would have come out of the gates? I think they were something like 1-11 or something like that, and then turned it on and made the tournament. Who would have thought LSU would have started 3-12 in its 2024 season? Like, you never really know, but you get a handle on things. And I've watched a lot of SEC baseball. Those first 3 weeks, LSU's got to go get it. And it starts tomorrow in Nashville with Vanderbilt. We'll talk to Joe Healey about it coming up in 15 minutes. We'll talk to Chris Blair in an hour. He's been in Nashville all week. Started their SEC basketball tournament, and then just got to go down the road to Vanderbilt, where he'll start calling the baseball games coming up tomorrow. So a lot of work in Nashville for Chris Blair, and we'll talk to him about it in 1 hour. That's our opening drive. We'll crank things up with some Saints talk. Kellen Moore was asked about Alvin Kamara today. I'll tell you what he said next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Get the Boudreaux's Boost. What's the Boudreaux's Boost, Hunt? Well, that's in the event that you have purchased a Generac home standby generator for your home, and you did not purchase it from Boudreaux's Electrical. That's okay, but you probably got it from one of the big box stores, and you probably haven't heard from them since. And if that's the case, and you want someone who's there to do some maintenance on your generator, who's there to monitor your generator, who's there to give you the customer service that a company that's been in South Louisiana for 40 years and is family-owned and operated can give, then you get the Boudreaux's Boost. You give them a call at 985-397-1562. It's 985-397-1562, or at the Gonzales location in the 225 area code at 300-9389. You give them a call. Say, hey, I've got this generator, bought it from X box store. Can y'all take this thing over and help me out with maintenance, with repairs if they need to happen, with monitoring so that I know that I've got the peace of mind that when my power goes out, that my generator is going to spring into action? And folks at Boudreaux's Electrical will say, sure, we're happy to help you with that. That's what they can do. It's the customer service that sets Boudreaux's Electrical apart. Trust Neil and Melissa and their family-owned and operated organization here in South Louisiana. They've been at it for 40 years. They can help you out with that Boudreaux's Boost. Give them a call. Check them out online at boudreauxelectrical.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Cane's Box Combo, a symphony of flavors. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Championships are won with preparation, and so are great roofs.
Coach is tough on us about preparation, and Paris brings that same championship mindset. Do business with someone you know.
Paris Construction and Roofing.
Lockmere to Sean Fagan and Associates has won for our clients over $175 million over the decades, but our greatest success is our clients who have chosen and trusted us to help them. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call. You've got nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan. If you get injured, you could be staring at medical bills, repair costs, and lost income. Life can be turned upside down. At Lockmere to Sean Fagan and Associates, we'll work to turn your world right side up. Hire us, and like thousands of our clients, you'll be glad you did.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home, with personalized packages for short-term, long-term, or even around-the-clock care. Visit us at decisioncriticalbr.com and give us a call today to get started.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs. Set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online or text or call for free confidential help now.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Tuesday shows, well, it's not Tuesday, so it doesn't really matter who our Tuesday shows are brought to you by. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. I want to take this time to remind you about my friends at Gotros Outdoor Power. Gotros Outdoor Power. Look, spring's here. Spring is very much here. I know it's chilly today. It's going to be back up in the high 70s tomorrow, 80s by the weekend. That grass is growing. If you're looking to get behind the wheel of one of those zero-turn mowers, look no further than the folks at Gotros Outdoor Power. Mower Madness is coming up at the end of the month. March 23rd. That's 11 days away is the start of Mower Madness. It runs through March 28th. Keep in mind, open house at Gotros Outdoor Power with food and giveaways Friday, March 27th. Everything on sale the entire week. Going to be the best prices they have all year. We'll have more information in the next couple of weeks, but if you're thinking about getting behind the wheel of a new zero-turn mower from the folks over at Gotros Outdoor Power, consider Mower Madness, which is coming up at the end of the month. They've been in business 22 years. Baton Rouge and Gonzales, largest parts inventory in the state of Louisiana, largest hustler inventory in the state by a long shot, and those deals are coming at the end of the month, so get on by and see them at Gotros Outdoor Power. All right, Kellen Moore met with the media today, and as you have well learned at this point, Kellen Moore is not the most notable quote. He is generally not going to give you a lot of meat on the bone in his press conferences. That's okay. I've said that a million times. I just don't care. Show me the results. But this answer, I felt, carried a little bit of weight. And I may be reading too much into it, but I don't really think I am. Kellen Moore was asked today, what about Kamara and his role with the organization moving forward? And Kellen said, we'd like to go through that process, certainly. We feel, obviously, we know Alvin means a lot to us. We're 3 days into this thing. We signed Travis, and we'll go through that process. I'm not going to get into all that stuff right now. I haven't had those conversations in any ways. That's an interesting discussion if you've got an unrestricted free agent. It's an interesting discussion. But the fact of the matter is that Alvin Kamara is under contract with the Saints. And so the easy answer, if it is in fact the answer, about Alvin Kamara's future with the Saints is, we love Alvin. We extended him last year. We're thrilled with the shape he's in right now, and we're excited for him to be part of our team next year. That's an easy, non-committal, obvious answer that wasn't given. So it stands to reason when you look at the actions of the Saints earlier, where they used a little-used clause in the NFL salary cap system to make a separation easier for the team with Alvin Kamara, and then you have the head coach coming in front of the microphone and not saying outwardly that Alvin Kamara is going to be part of this team next year. That's just leaving the door wide open for us in the media and you as the fan base to kick it down with speculation. This seems pretty real to me. You don't have to restructure the deal to create an out with Kamara. You don't have to be non-committal on a player who's under contract with your team. And then you don't have to go sign a veteran running back at a significant price tag on a 4-year deal. All of these things lining up just makes you look at it on its face and go, well, this might be over. And you look at Alvin Kamara and what he has been in recent years. The injuries and the lack of playing kind of started back 3 years ago. He only played in 13 of the 17 games. He did play in 14 in 2024, but we know through that season he was playing with busted up ribs and gutting it out and giving you everything he had on a bad team with a lame duck coach, with a quarterback nobody liked, offensive line in shambles, and he was showing up and he was answering the bell, but he was hurt. And he gave you all he could for 14 games. And then last year, you only got 11 out of him. So your numbers are trending in the wrong direction. You look at yards per carry. He was a guy that was consistently around 5 early in his career. I'll give you them in order, starting in 17. 6.1, 4.6, 4.7, 5.0, 4.0, and then all of a sudden you look down at these years in the last 3, 3.9, 4.2, 3.6 last year, which was the lowest of his Saints career, meaning his NFL career. He's going to be 31. These are all the reasons why I did not want to extend Alvin Kamara and restructure that contract last year. I didn't see the need to do that, and they did so in the middle of the season last year. So this is nothing new. I love Alvin Kamara. I appreciate his work with the Saints. I wasn't wild about the contract. And the Saints may not be wild about it now, knowing what they know with an injury at the end of the year, knowing that they've now got another option at running back in Travis Etienne. And maybe it's time to move on. I mean, you look at the Saints' rushing offense last year, this has to get better. There was one team in the National Football League that ran the ball for fewer yards per carry last year than the Saints. It was the Raiders. The Raiders ran it for 3.6. The Saints ran it for 3.7. That is not company you want to keep. When you look at yards per game rushing, the Saints were only better than the Bengals, Titans, Cardinals, and Raiders. They were only better than 4 teams in the NFL. They ran for 94.3 yards per game. Rushing touchdowns for the Saints last year, they only had 9. The only team in the NFL worse was the Raiders with 5. And when you consider the fact that Tyler Shuck showed up in the second half and used his legs to get in the end zone, like all of a sudden you realize when we're just talking about running backs, the Saints were anemic running the football. Now, this is not Alvin Kamara's fault, and this is not going to be fixed by just bringing in Travis Etienne. You got to block better, obviously. And you hope your tackles grow up, and you hope that Edwards at guard is a huge upgrade, which he absolutely should be, and you hope that McCoy stays healthy, and then you got to add some depth to your line. And this is a holistic fix that's got to be made. But it sounds like they're really, really, really targeting this running game in the offseason. That's why they go and get Edwards, and they go and get Etienne. And then you look at the fact that they may be phasing this running back out in Alvin Kamara. It makes a lot of sense. This is not a done deal. There are things that have to be done. And oh, by the way, we still have this quote hanging out there from October. I went and looked it up. And he said, I don't want to go anywhere. This is Kamara. If Mickey comes down and says I'm traded, I'm going to go drink a pina colada somewhere. That's an October quote. That's not that far in the rearview mirror. It's 7 months. So that doesn't exactly make you the most tradable asset on the market when you've already suggested if somebody wants to come trade for me, I'm going to go get drunk. Like it doesn't make you a very desirable asset. Now, maybe he sings a different tune because this organization or that organization comes calling, and that sounds like a pretty attractive thing. There are obviously, based on that quote, going to be some situations he doesn't think are all that appealing. But at this point, I can't put Alvin Kamara's presence on this roster for the first game at better than 50-50, and he's under contract. There's too many dots to connect here. And I'm just doing the easy part, connecting them. I think if Alvin Kamara returns to the Saints, that's okay. You make Etienne your lead back. You make him a lesser used back that doesn't take the beating that he's taken, and you give him some room to run, and you give him a quarterback that's willing to create some pressure on the defense with his speed and ability to get the ball out in the flat in the screen game to Kamara. He's absolutely a useful player. Dynamic, I wouldn't go quite that far. Pro Bowler, no. All Pro, absolutely not. Useful, sure. So I'm not saying kick him out the door. What I am saying is it feels like he may not be around much longer. Jordan, I'm connecting dots here, right?
I'll do you one better. You don't even got to connect the dots. I really think his days are numbered here in New Orleans. It hurts me to even say that because I like the idea of an Etienne and Alvin Kamara backfield next year. I think it can be very useful, especially because we have questions around Neal, still got questions around Estime, Kendre Miller, whoever you want to name as these guys, these ragtag group of guys. None of them are as solidified as an RB2 that Kamara would be for the team. So it hurts me to say that because all Kellen Moore really had to do is be like, yeah, I can see him be on the team. But he didn't do that. He didn't say that. So that right there, lets the red flag, my antennas go up right there because he easily could have been like, yeah, we see him on the team next year. Like, next question. But no, he went and gave reason why, we're trying to do what's best for the team.
So we got to have that conversation. Was under contract. Literally. What is the discussion?
That's weird, though, because he could have just been like, yeah, he'll be here. So it hurts me to be here, but it's not like we're losing 2018 Alvin Kamara, 2019 Alvin Kamara. So I get it. Running back shelf life is short, and you just signed ETN, who's a horse. So you got your horse. I would have liked him to be the backup, go back to that Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara type of 1-2 punch. You could have had that. So we'll see. We know we ain't drafted a running back, so it's a lot of questions.
Taylor, Alvin Kamara on the Saints first game, yes or no?
No chance. Absolutely
no
not.
chance.
No chance. At this point, no.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it is decided at that point, I guess. You just have to ask the Hunt Palmer Show. We got it all figured out for you, Mickey. We come back. Joe Healey talking SEC baseball next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Doesn't have to be a huge job. David Vaughn and his team are happy to do a huge job if that's what you've got to do. They just renovated Ryan Haldane's entire master bathroom. They're happy to do it, and they did a great job. You can listen to Brian talk about it on Talk 107.3. But maybe it's something really simple. You've got a bathtub you don't use. You don't have two Rugrats like we do in the Palmer house that are in the bathtub splashing everywhere at 6:15 every night. You don't even use the bathtub. You're taking showers in a dingy old bathtub. Get it out. Get that bathtub out. That's a lot of space that you now have unoccupied. You can put in that gorgeous glass walk-in shower and totally transform your bathroom. If you've been looking for something to do on a home improvement perspective and don't want to do something massive that can be invasive and time-consuming, tub-to-shower conversion can be done in 3 to 5 days. David Vaughn and his team are happy to come in and do it. If you're thinking about financing that, they've got financing options available. Look at 0% 18 months. That's the same as cash. Start that conversation with David. Have that consultation with him, and he'll tell you what they can do and what it'll look like for you. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online at onebathandclosets.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
At Raising Cane's, we hand batter every chicken finger, mix every cane sauce, butter every Texas toast, stir every slaw, and salt every fry. Because when you do it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
I'm Lawyer Locke Meredith. We are honored and humbled to receive from our clients in Google, based on 5-star client reviews, the designation of our law firm is highly recommended. Whether you hire us at all, please give us a call, 272-5555. You have nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. Injuries happen when you least expect them to, making your life more complicated. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan & Associates, we know this, and we strive to help each of our clients during these times. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555.
Transform your living space with Lacoste & Young Remodeling and take your home from outdated to outstanding. Redefine your kitchen for the ultimate culinary experience or elevate your daily routine with a spa-worthy bathroom retreat. Our skilled team brings 3D modeling to life to ensure your vision becomes a reality. We believe luxury should be accessible and offer tailored solutions to fit your budget without compromising quality. So contact us today for a free estimate. Lacoste & Young Remodeling, providing perfect solutions for your dream home.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient, and the savings are even greater with a tankless propane water heater. We all know that Louisiana propane is a safe and environmentally friendly fuel. So why not go green while you save some green? I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and for more information, visit louisianapropane.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday shows brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Talk to Chris Blair coming up in 45 minutes. Also, 3 different Louisiana journalists filing suit against LSU in terms of failure to release the documents involved in revenue sharing. So we'll talk about that in 30 minutes at the top of hour number 2. For right now, let's go to our friend Joe Healey. He's with D1 Baseball's SEC Extra Team Highway to Hoover podcast. It's time for some SEC baseball. Joe, how are you?
Doing well, Hunt. I'm excited to finally be in the time of year when we can stop talking about the hypotheticals of what might happen in SEC play, and we can actually start to get some answers.
But we got to go back to last week first because it was a little sloppy for the Southeastern Conference with a bunch of quote-unquote no-names on the schedule. What result over the weekend drew the most interest from you?
Well, let's call it a tie between Florida losing that series to High Point and LSU losing the series to Sacramento State. And I think those are part and parcel of each other, but also different in key ways. I'll start with Florida real quick. I think the thing that alarms me about that is that had High Point not thrown up on itself in that Sunday game, like they get swept. Like they were getting beaten in that last game, and if High Point throws more strikes, they sweep that series. And so, look, High Point's a pretty good team. I picked them to win the Big South. The Big South is one of my mid-majors I previewed before the season. So yes, it's a quality competition, but still, you shouldn't be flirting with getting swept there, and you shouldn't lose that series. So that's they looked sloppy. They just didn't come out ready to play. They looked flat. And so to me, it's just more like, what do they look like in terms of the way they carry themselves moving forward? Is that something we see more of? Now, on the LSU side, two separate things kind of caused me a little bit of concern with not just last weekend, but the start to the season overall for LSU. The first is that several different things have been a problem at different points. It's been, the offensive production has been a problem, probably most prominently recently, but there's also been defensive issues at times. There's also been, several games where they just couldn't find guys to string together outs. I think about the Northeastern Monday game. That one stands out most there. So that's one, is that it's not just one hole in the boat they're trying to plug. It feels like they're trying to plug multiple holes, and the other ones keep springing open every time they think they've got one figured out. The other is that I would be less worried if the coaching staff was kind of conveying a little bit of patience with this and just kind of playing it off a little bit more. But it's clear, not even so much with what they say, but with how they're acting, that they're a little worried too. Like we saw the post-game meeting, speaking of the Northeastern loss, the post-game meeting out in the field with all the coaches after the game. Or every time I feel like I'm watching an LSU game, I see guys in the dugout having players-only dugout meetings. And those kinds of things only tend to happen when folks are a little bit concerned about what's happening on the field. And so maybe if everyone around seemed a little more loosey-goosey about it and, hey, we'll figure it out, I'd be more inclined to believe it. And I still do believe I still think it's a national title contending team. The talent there is that good. But right now it is definitely a team that is pulling levers and searching for answers and just doesn't totally feel like it's found all of them yet.
Let's talk about what's to come Friday, Saturday, Sunday in the Southeastern Conference. I want to start in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Mississippi State is 15-2 with 2 tight losses to really good teams, and Arkansas is 12-5. Suffered a setback last week, and offense has been a bit of an issue for the Hogs, but that's a tough place to go win. How do you feel Mississippi State will answer the bell in their first road series at Arkansas?
I think this is the type of series that when I talked in the preseason on your show or week 1 or whenever it was, we talked about it, that this is the type of series where having Brian O'Connor as your head coach, I think, really pays off because he's really, really good at treating it, putting his money where his mouth is when he talks about, hey, we're going to treat this kind of like any other series and go about it that way. He's got that quiet intensity about him. Like there's going to be no mistaking when he's in the dugout that this is an important game. This is a big game. He's going to be locked in, but he's also not going to be panicking. He's not going to be pushing buttons just to try to make things happen. Like he's going to be in control of that dugout. I think that ends up paying off. The other thing is I think it's a little bit of a wash. The home field advantage at Baum Walker is real. That is a very real thing. It's hard to imagine much of any team having a whole lot of success on that field. But I do think there are some things with Arkansas you can exploit right now. Specifically, the bottom half of their lineup has just been kind of a black hole. Nolan Souza is struggling there. Carson Brumbaugh, the big-time freshman, is struggling at the bottom there. TJ Pompey, the Texas Tech transfer, is really struggling there. So right now, they've got some guys that are swinging it great, but they have this bottom of the order where you're able to pitch to them to the extent where it feels like you can let the top 5 guys get theirs because the bottom 4 guys are not necessarily going to knock in those runners when they get on base. And so I think that is an exploitable hole here. But what it will be is three very, very good pitching matchups. I just finished writing the series of the week preview that'll be up here later this afternoon that folks can read. But I'm really excited about all three pitching matchups this weekend because all three starters for both sides have been really, really good so far.
You can read about that at D1 Baseball's SEC Extra Package. Also every week, Highway to Hoover. It's Mark Etheridge and Joe Healey. All right, let's move over to Tennessee and Georgia in Athens. In a bygone era, meaning like 1 year ago, you just said, well, that's in Athens. It's two of the most powerful hitting teams in all of college baseball. It'll be flying everywhere. Is that still the case with Tennessee? Do you feel like Georgia's going to still do that with a talented Tennessee pitching staff? What do you think?
I think Georgia will still find a way to do that because they tend to do that to everybody in Athens, and opposing teams just kind of bake that into their expectations of like, we're probably going to give up a handful of home runs that don't necessarily leave most other ballparks. You just kind of have to understand that being the case and hope they're solo home runs. It will be an interesting test, though, for Tennessee because I said this on I forget if it was on Weekend Waypoints or Highway to Hoover, but I made the point at some point that, of all the teams that have had their issues so far this season, I think the single unit that worries me the most right now is Tennessee's offense because I'm starting to wonder if this just kind of is more of who they are right now. They've got some very talented guys. Henry Ford swinging the bat great. Blaine Brown, the Rice transfer, swinging the bat well. So they've certainly got their guys, but they also kind of have a bottom of the lineup where it's not just that they've got some guys scuffling. There also feels like they still haven't figured out who their nine are out there. And so this weekend, I think, will be a good test just from the standpoint of, look, if, maybe this is kind of what they need is to have a series where they go to a place that's really offensive. Not that Lindsey Nelson isn't, but you know what I mean? Like, go to a place that's really offensive, miss-hit a couple balls out of the ballpark, that gives you a little shot of confidence. You start swinging the bat better. Maybe that all kind of plays into it. But then the other side of the coin is if it doesn't go well this weekend offensively, then I do think that becomes a little more of a red flag because that is the type of place. And Georgia's high-velocity pitching staff is the type of pitching staff against which you can have some success hitting the long ball. If they can't get it done this weekend, I do start to wonder even more if we should just start downgrading our expectations for their offense.
Look, LSU fans saw Wes Johnson here and saw some of the work he did with LSU's staff and kind of associate him with great pitching, and they haven't necessarily gotten that. Volchko was one of the biggest names in the portal. He's starting for him on Fridays. Like, how do you feel about Georgia's staff with Wes Johnson there who hadn't quite figured that out through a couple of years?
Yeah, it feels like it's a little bit of a toss-up. Like they bring in some of these transfers, and it feels like everybody ends up throwing harder, but then the results are kind of a 50-50 proposition where it feels like about half of them end up being a lot better. They've got a guy, Dylan Vignew from Michigan, who I think is a lot better than what we saw from him in Michigan. But then you've got some that either stagnate or just for whatever reason it doesn't work out. It does feel like it's a little bit of a coin flip on that front. And Volchko, I think, will be a good litmus test there because he's not the pitcher you probably think he is. It's a fastball that touches 100 miles an hour, but he's a little bit like Nate Snead for Tennessee, where it's never really generated a lot of whiff. It has a little sink to it, so it does generate a lot of soft contact, and that's kind of what they're looking for there. But as you know, like in Athens, that's kind of a tough fit because you're, again, going back to the point we previously made, if you're a pitcher who gives up a lot of contact, and Volchko does, and a lot of that contact is coming on 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, like you're going to give up some hard hit balls, you're going to give up some home runs, and it just feels like a little bit of a mismatch in terms of pitcher and ballpark. He's obviously a really talented guy. It wouldn't shock me if he figures something out and has a good year, but it's a guy who I think there were some maybe misaligned expectations for what kind of pitcher he could be here with Georgia because he's just never been the big strikeout, ride a fastball up in the zone, get swings and misses on a breaking ball. Like that's never really been his bag. It's about throwing heavy bowling ball sinkers and trying to get weak contact, and he can do that, but I think you're going to give some up too while you're at it.
Texas is 16-0. They'll welcome Ole Miss to Austin over the weekend. I kind of like this Rebels team. Do you feel like Texas loses its first game of the season this weekend?
I think so. I like this Ole Miss team too, especially with Cade Townsend pitching as well as he has behind Hunter Elliott, because frankly, Hunter Elliott's just been kind of okay so far. The walk rate is not great, but Cade Townsend has really helped them put a full rotation together and mitigate the loss of all those veterans that were pitching behind Elliott last year. I also just like, from an Ole Miss standpoint, if you're talking about, hey, how do we just get a game this weekend? The power in their lineup is such that in any given weekend, they're probably going to have at least one game where they're just squaring the ball up and you can't keep them out of you can't keep them from hitting home runs. So I think that's the thing that ends up happening here at some point this weekend. But I will say my concern with them is that that offense does stagnate a little bit when they're not hitting the ball out of the ballpark. It really hasn't bitten them that much so far this season, but there is a little bit of a tendency where, I go back, I still can't get out of my head them losing to Missouri State last postseason in a game where they hit a whole bunch of home runs, but it felt like every time there was a guy standing on second base, they couldn't bring him in. And that can kind of happen some. So I feel like that is gives and takes away in Ole Miss's case.
Wrapping things up here, LSU is headed to Nashville. Vanderbilt's 11-7 on the season. What's LSU getting up to in Music City?
They're going to see a lot of bullpen arms because I think that's part of the strength of Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt's going to throw the kitchen sink at them, especially if Austin Nye misses again this weekend. They're down to, Fennell and Nate Taylor, both really solid pitchers in the rotation, but neither of them is really a true ace, I wouldn't say. But the bullpen is strong for Vanderbilt, so I don't think they're going to be shy about just throwing a bunch of arms at LSU and just trying to mix and match it up. And Vanderbilt can win games that way. What I'm watching for, though, is I've kind of started to wonder if this is a long con on Tim Corbin's part, and I say this mostly jokingly, but to have his team hit a bunch of home runs and still not really be an effective offense, just to prove that home runs aren't all they cracked up to be, because that kind of seems like what's happening, where they're second in the SEC in home runs, and yet they've had offensive problems. And so that doesn't really compute for me. So honestly, this is one of those series where I'm looking forward to just actually sitting down and watching this Vanderbilt offense operate to try to figure out what the deal is there, because again, they're hitting a lot more home runs, and it doesn't necessarily seem to be resulting in a lot more runs in general.
Every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Weekend Waypoints on YouTube. Highway to Hoover podcast. He's here on Thursdays, part of the SEC Extra team over at D1 Baseball. He is Joe Healey. Enjoy the baseball, Joe. We'll talk next week.
All right, see you, buddy.
I want to remind you about First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust started up in 1910, still here 116 years later, and they've grown to 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. If you're looking for a commercial loan, if you're looking for a residential loan, work with the local team at First American Bank and Trust. That's what they are. They're local. They're right here in Southeast Louisiana, always will be. And every time you make a phone call, you're going to get someone in Southeast Louisiana, and the decisions that are made in Southeast Louisiana. It is truly a community bank, whether you're in St. John Parish, St. Lafourche Parish, Terrebonne Parish, over your in Hammond, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa. And that doesn't mean if they're a community bank that they're small and they don't have the resources to help you out. They've got what the national banks have. They've got 25 locations. They've got assets. They can help you with your commercial loan or your residential loan. It's First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. Interesting weekend in SEC baseball. I would love to see the results of that Ole Miss-Texas series, because I'm high on Ole Miss's team with upside. I know that they don't hit the ball on the ground enough. I know that they don't move the baseball enough, but they hit a lot of home runs, and I think their pitching is pretty good. So I like this Ole Miss team. I'm curious to see what they can do in Austin against a great pitching staff in a tough ballpark to hit in. Hard to hit home runs in Austin, and maybe Ole Miss tries to do that, and they come up empty and they lose all 3 games. But maybe they can break through there in Austin. And then, of course, Mississippi State and Arkansas is going to be classic. 6 really good starting pitchers, 2 programs with great pedigree, and 2 head coaches that have got a lot of accomplishments and skins on the wall between Brian O'Connor and Dave Van Horn. So very, very interesting stuff there. And, of course, as I mentioned in our first segment, LSU's got to get off to a good start in Nashville. So the beauty of SEC expansion, while it does take the divisions away and separate some rivalries, and LSU doesn't play Auburn in football every year, whatever the case may be. And when baseball season rolls around, you get a lot of good matchups. There's a lot of good teams, and they're all playing each other every single week for 3 games. So I'm excited to watch a lot of baseball this weekend. Appreciate Joe for stopping by and giving us a little bit of a heads up on that. We'll step aside and come back and close out the hour. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com. Looking for a new truck? Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They got your Chevy Silverados up to $11,000 off MSRP or 1.9 APR financing. Awesome deals on Chevy Silverados. Looking for a GMC Sierra? They can help you out with that too, up to $13,000 off MSRP. That's 5 figures in savings. Or you can get 0.0% APR, which is pretty good deal. Can't beat that at all. Get up and see them, Highway 61 in St. Francisville. They're under new ownership with the Fabry family, which you know and trust. They've been here for 35 years in the Baton Rouge community, 3 locations, 5 brands. Just so thrilled to have this Chevrolet GMC point in St. Francisville. So make the short drive up to St. Francisville. Check out that entire inventory because it's online at FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, They cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, Ice Cubes.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Transform your living space with Lacoste & Young Remodeling and take your home from outdated to outstanding. Redefine your kitchen for the ultimate culinary experience or elevate your daily routine with a spa-worthy bathroom retreat. Our skilled team brings 3D modeling to life to ensure your vision becomes a reality. We believe luxury should be accessible and offer tailored solutions to fit your budget without compromising quality. So contact us today for a free estimate. Lacoste & Young Remodeling, providing perfect solutions for your dream home.
I'm lawyer Collins Locke Meredith. Among the most important factors to consider when you're hiring an injury attorney is trust. You trust your attorney will put your interest first, treat you with respect, fairness, and honesty. You trust them to be there for you when you need them. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates, thousands of clients have trusted us to represent them, and for good reasons. Please visit us at LockeMeredith.com to learn more, and whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555. You have nothing to lose.
Most roofers just replace your shingles. At Pelican, we diagnose your roof, digging deep down to find the root cause of your roof symptoms. Now cough for me? Good. We don't ignore your roof's issues, we address them. Let's just take care of this right here. Helping your roof to become the best version of itself. Interesting that you would say that. How does that make you feel? So call Pelican Roofing for your free roof checkup today.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday shows always brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. You've heard me talk about Sagrera Farms for over a year now on the show, so you get the drift. If you want to check it out, you're going to be able to call Sean. I'm going to give you his number at the end of this read, so get your phone out if you'd like to call Sean about Sagrera Farms. But it's just a different way to do your beef, and quite frankly, it's a better way. If you're not happy with the quality that you're getting when you buy your beef, if you're not happy with the steaks that you picked up from the local spot, or not happy with the ground beef that you cook with every week, you're not happy with the quality of it or the price, how about Sagrera Farms? You're guaranteed prime Angus beef. If you don't like it, you don't pay for it, first of all. But you're guaranteed prime Angus beef. And you fill your freezer up with the ribeyes, the fillets, with the skirt steaks, flank steaks, fill it up with the chuck roasts, and, of course, all the ground beef. So when you're ready to cook, you just go to the freezer and you know that you've got some of the highest quality beef in the country right here in your freezer, but it came from right up the road in Ethel at Sagrera Farms. Prices have been climbing. Quality has been going down. Supply and demand is not great in the beef world right now. But at Sagrera Farms, they're growing. And they've got stuff that's ready for you this spring to get on the grill during grilling season. So give Sean a call, 225-719-1723. 225-719-1723. Say, hey, I'd like to talk about half a cow. I'd like to talk about a quarter of a cow. I'd like to talk about a whole cow. I've got 6 people that want to go in on it. He's happy to help you out with the entire process at Sagrera Farms. They bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. Zion Theophilus is not a guy that's gotten a lot of run this year for LSU. He's actually only pitched 3 times. But But he did something this week that I thought was pretty cool. Jake Brown talked about it in the press conference yesterday. Tuesday, when the team got to the ballpark, Zion Theophilus, who's a freshman pitcher who's not had a huge role in this team, had written a letter to every player on the team with some encouraging words, some things that the players do well, some things that the team likes about each player, and then finished every note with believe it. Believe who you are. Believe in who you are. And from an outside perspective, and Joe just talked about it in the last segment, you could suggest that LSU is having too many player meetings, that LSU is working overtime at practice, that LSU is relying on freshman pitchers to put things in folks' lockers, and that it's just a little bit early for all that, and it's just a sign of a team that's not playing well enough, and they're looking for every answer they can possibly find. But ultimately, it's not going to matter. I just think it was a cool gesture for a young player who's not like a key contributor on the team at this point. I also didn't realize, because Jay Johnson told Matt Flynn and Jacob Hester earlier today, Theophilus got a 35 on the ACT. That's no joke. That's almost perfect. So the maturity level, the intelligence level is obviously off the charts with him, and he felt like it was something he wanted to do. And Jake Brown, who is the star of the team, said on Wednesday, it really impressed me that he would do that, and it was a really cool thing for the team. And it was done on Tuesday, and the team responded really well to adversity on Tuesday. They fell behind 4-1 and clawed their way back into the game and ended up winning it 8-4. So, look, I'm not going to sit here and preach that this is a turning point for the team or that the freshman pitchers saved the season. I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill here in any way. I just thought it was a cool thing. I thought it was worth bringing up. And Jay Johnson told the guys on the morning show this morning that he brought Theophilus in, and Theophilus also kind of thought he was in trouble for kind of stepping on the coach's toes or whatever. But actually, Jay Johnson said the opposite. He wanted to validate that and tell him how big a deal it was, because Jay believes that the coaches have to set the example and the coaches have to be in charge, but nothing's more powerful when you're dealing with a team than allowing the team to help run itself. And Theophilus is not necessarily a guy that everyone would have looked to on Tuesday, but he did something. And this is a good opportunity for LSU to get out of Baton Rouge, to get out of that environment's a little bit tense because they haven't swung the basketball, haven't played well. Every error is going to get a groan. Every walk and wild pitch, you're going to get a groan. Every time you strike out with a runner on third, you're going to get a groan. And it's just it's kind of a pressure cooker right now with the way they've played. You go to Nashville, you're playing in front of 3,000 people. Go play your best baseball. LSU plays their best baseball this weekend. They'll win 2 or 3 games. They're good enough to do that. You play like you have for the last 2 weeks, you might lose all 3. But mentally, I think they're in a decent spot, getting out, doing what they did on Tuesday. And now you just got to reinforce that with your 3 best starting pitchers going out there. And Theophilus did what he thought was the right thing to do, and I thought it was pretty cool. So I wanted to bring that up. I've got a piece about it that's got quotes from Jay Johnson and Jake Brown. If you'd like to read more about it, you can over at louisianasports.net. Welcome you to do that. If you missed any of the first hour, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. A Hunt on Saints. We talked about Kamara. You can listen to that wherever you find your podcasts or on YouTube. Hunt on LSU is where you can get all your LSU news, and there's some today. 3 journalists suing LSU for information about revenue sharing. We'll talk about that when we come back from Sports Center on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. Swing Easy. GCBR.com is that website. I saw today, Players Championship started. 3 pros in the same group hit it in the water on 17. The Island Green there at TPC Sawgrass. 3 pros hit it in the water. Can you and 2 of your buddies do better than that? Go play it on the simulator. Go tee it up. I've actually hit to it. It's like a 7-iron, 8-iron. If you can knock it on the green, you're better than those 3 pros. It's just a good place to go hang out. It's weekend's coming up. You're looking to involve some golf, but maybe not 5 hours out there at a course. Maybe not out on the driving range when it heats up. You just want to go enjoy some stress-free golf on the simulator with some buddies, grab a bucket of beers and hang out, listen to some tunes. Play TPC Sawgrass. You can do that over at Swing Easy Golf Club. Great place to socialize. Great place to work on your game. Great place to hang out. It's on Segan at Perkins. Segan at Perkins. You can get a tee time at swingeasygcbr.com. That's Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Transform your living space with Lacoste & Young Remodeling and take your home from outdated to outstanding. Redefine your kitchen for the ultimate culinary experience or elevate your daily routine with a spa-worthy bathroom retreat. Our skilled team brings 3D modeling to life to ensure your vision becomes a reality. We believe luxury should be accessible and offer tailored solutions to fit your budget without compromising quality. So contact us today for a free estimate. Lacoste & Young Remodeling, providing perfect solutions for your dream home.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. At Locke Meredith Sean Fagan and Associates, we know each case and client are unique, and that no two cases are the same. But one thing remains constant, and that is our passion to help our clients. After an accident, we know your life has changed, which is why we passionately fight to make you and your family whole. Remember, whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555. We're here to serve you.
If your office is experiencing performance issues, like slow networks, jammed printers, or disappearing files, Advanced Office Systems may be right for you. With powerful IT solutions, print management, document imaging, and security systems, they help offices regain confidence naturally. Side effects may include uncontrollable efficiency, smoother workflows, and a sudden burst of office joy. Say goodbye to those emotional breakdowns in the supply closet and get back on track with Advanced Office Systems.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Nick DeLuca. The madness of March underway. Miami, Ohio, no longer undefeated.
Fires it, no good. UMass wins. Unbelievable that the Redhawks come to Cleveland, 31-0, and they get beat today, 87-83 by a very good UMass team.
Call from the Miami Sports Network. First loss for the final unbeaten in the country. Redhawks at 31-1 were the fifth men's D1 program this century to go undefeated during the regular season. Now question about whether they will be an at-large bid in the NCAA tournament. Over to the ACC tournament quarterfinal between Miami and number 24 Louisville, 6'4 Canes in the early going in that one. Adrian Woodley and Ryan Conwell on the board. For the Birds in the NFL, defensive tackle Jonathan Allen and the Bengals agreeing to a 2-year, $26 million contract.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Friday, we've doubted the Lakers all season long, but are they actually closer to competing in the West than we'd like to admit? It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPNU, and ESPN2.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Thursday shows brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. This is Hour 2, Hunt Palmer Show on a Thursday, working towards the weekend. Chris Blair in 15 minutes from Nashville. He was there beginning on Tuesday for LSU's Wednesday morning SEC basketball tournament loss to Kentucky. He will now continue to stay in Music City through LSU's weekend with Vanderbilt, so we'll talk about all that with Chris coming up in 15 minutes. Some news that has come forward since I've been on the air that has been released to the public via the Illuminator, WAFB, and Tiger Rag that we've now got a press release up at louisianasports.net. A lawsuit has come down from 3 different Louisiana news organizations that have filed suit against LSU for refusing to disclose records of the public dollars it paid its student athletes. The Illuminator's Piper Hutchinson is one of the 3. WAFB's Chris Nakamoto is a second, and Tiger Rag's Todd Horn have all 3 come together to file suit under the principle of Louisiana's public records laws on how the state's dollars are spent over at LSU. Now, full disclosure from my end, I have only read this twice and have only been aware of it for about 30 minutes. So I'm going to tread fairly lightly here until I can learn a little bit more, but I will give you my 10,000-foot view of this developing situation, which ultimately is likely of very little consequence for anyone involved. That's my opinion, unless something is uncovered. And candidly, like Piper Hutchinson, Chris Nakamoto, and Todd Horn have made a career of uncovering things. Sometimes you dig at something, there's nothing there. Sometimes you dig at something and you find something very significant. That's their job. So no one has stepped out of bounds here from a media perspective as far as I can tell. Best I can tell from this release, they have sent in a Freedom of Information request to a public university. That has been declined, so they've sued. That's not out of bounds for anybody as far as I can tell. And we'll see what happens in court. But if you're just a Joe LSU fan driving around right now and you're hearing that LSU's being sued over this revenue sharing situation, well, what's going to come of that? My answer, as I understand it right this very second, is very little. Like, it would surprise me if something came of this that was significant. If you're someone who is very, very curious about how much each individual football or basketball player got paid and you'd like to know that, this may uncover it. If you have no interest in that whatsoever, like me, I've got no interest in that at all, well, it's probably a nothing burger. If they do uncover that LSU is doing something nefarious, like which I would sincerely doubt, well, then they'll uncover it. That's their job. So at this point, nothing has been out of bounds. The question that I pose as I'm reading it is, 1, what are they looking for? And 2, what would LSU conceivably be trying to hide? LSU is a public institution. It is run through public funds. I absolutely believe that the Louisiana taxpayers have a right to understand where public money is being allocated, how it's being used at the flagship university of the state. I think that's completely reasonable. Absolutely. The question is, does the public have rights to know what the $20.1-ish million of the athletic revenue distribution, where it's going? Because the student athletes are not employees. Like, absolutely. Freedom of Information request, I need to know what you're paying each employee at LSU, and that's public record. Absolutely. These aren't employees. It's a gray area. It's what the NCAA and all these courts are bickering about constantly when it comes to contractual obligations and ability to earn and all these things, because they're not employees. And does the public, via these journalists, have a right to knowing if, yeah, we're telling you we spent $20.2 million in revenue sharing with the student athletes, as was allowed by Congress last year. Like, we're not going to tell you what the right guard made, what the shortstop made, and what the women's basketball power forward made. We're just telling you we sent $20.1 million and we allocated that to the student athletes. I don't know the answer to that question. Like, there's, and so this will be interesting to see. It's another instance, I guess I should say, another instance where there's a gray area with all this money that's flying all over the place. And I believe the reason that you're getting Piper Hutchinson, Chris Nakamoto, and Todd Horn to dig at this is because it's a gray area. That's where you can find interesting information if you're so inclined. So that's my 10,000-foot view with 30 minutes of a press release worth of information. I don't know why LSU would be inclined to, quote unquote, as the press release says, shield the information if they are at all. I can kind of understand, hey, I don't want the amount of money that we spent on each individual player to be public record. Could create dissent in the locker rooms, could create unwelcome expectation for players, some subjective thoughts on that. I'll tell you this from my perspective. This is me talking. I think everyone has something in his or her job that you really enjoy and something that you really don't. I've talked to business owners over the years that they love what they do, that the actual task day to day. They don't like running the business and handling the payroll and hiring and firing. They'd rather just do what they do that makes the money. Maybe if you're an MD and you really like being in the operating room, don't really like being in the clinic. There are aspects to most people's jobs. I really like this. I really don't like that. And from my perspective, I love the actual sports. I like the games. I like to talk about the games. I like to react to the games. I like to watch the games. I like to write about the games. I like the games. I don't like the stuff that goes on outside the games. That's not my favorite thing to do. And this falls exactly in that. Y'all know where I stand on LSU. I want what's best for LSU athletically. I want what's best for LSU academically. And I get a check from LSU every fall. So that's cards on the table. That's how I feel. Y'all know that. Never hide from that 1 second. So my initial thought on this is I don't care what they paid De'Don Thomas versus what they paid Jalen Reed versus what they paid Max McKinnon. I don't really care what they paid Mansour Delane as opposed to what they paid Jack Pyburn. I don't care. That's not in my purview. All I know is that LSU went 3-15 in basketball, that they came up short and got embarrassed in a football game against Texas A&M, and the baseball team's not playing up to their standard, and the women's basketball team is probably going to get a 3 seed. That's my lane. This is not. So I have so little information on this and have so little interest in it, quite frankly, that there's not a lot of meat on this bone for me. I've told you what I think up front. I don't think any of the 3 journalists are stepping out of bounds. I'm confident that 98% of LSU fans, not taxpayers, LSU fans, think this is ridiculous by the 3 journalists. I don't share that opinion, but I know how fans think. Go away from my football program. Go away from my basketball program. Just stay away. That's how they feel about that kind of stuff. It's what went on with the whole thing with Will Wade. Went on with the whole thing with Scott Woodward and Brian Kelly and all the Ross Dellinger's getting rocks thrown at him and all that kind of stuff. I don't think the 3 journalists are stepping out of bounds for 1 second here. I just don't care about the result of this. Unless there's a significant crime being committed, which I would be flatline stunned. It's pretty simple. We've got this much in revenue, which is public record. We're allowed by the court to spend $20.1 million. We did that. It seems pretty straightforward to me. But we'll see what comes of it. I know that there are plans today for Matt on After Further Review to get some information on this. This happened in the middle of my show, so I'm well beyond any point where I could draw anything from on my show today. But we'll certainly hear what some of the folks have to say this afternoon on AFR, and I'll react to it tomorrow. not to dismiss these journalists' work at all. This is a personal thing from my deal. Like, unless you show me there's some sort of crime, I don't really care. I want to watch LSU play Vanderbilt tomorrow in baseball, and that's where my head is. That's how I'm wired. Probably not the greatest set of parameters to work for, but the old Tiger's not changing his stripes at this point. So we'll see what comes of it. The Illuminator, WAFB, and Tiger Rag filing suit for public records from LSU on how they are allocating revenue sharing to these players. It should be noted, they're not looking for NIL money. They're not looking for private businesses investing in LSU. This is purely what LSU is spending. I don't know if they want it down to the player or not, but it is what it is. We'll see as things move forward. Let's talk to Chris Blair about some LSU baseball when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Speaking of baseball, got a pretty cool baseball shop here in Baton Rouge, Marucci. Talking about a company that was founded by a couple former big leaders and their athletic trainer that started making bats in the backyard. You fast forward 2 decades, and now they're the official bat of Major League Baseball. That's just a really cool story. You can learn more about that story, more than I'm telling you, if you take a campus tour at Marucci. You can see how they're making 1,200 bats every day if you take a tour at Marucci. You can grab some bats in the hitter's house and take some BP at Marucci. You got a youth baseball team, take them over there. Got a youth softball team, take them over there. Maybe you just want to check it out. Take the family, take the kids. It's a really, really awesome spot to take a tour and learn about one of the coolest companies going in America, and it's right here in Baton Rouge. So to buy tickets, MarucciSports.com/campus-tour. MarucciSports.com/campus-tour. Every ticket comes with a 20% discount in the campus tour store and in the hitter's house. So go check them out at Marucci.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
I'm Lawyer Locke Meredith. If you're battling an insurance company because of a wreck not your fault and they're not calling you back or being fair, whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555, or email Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. You have nothing to lose.
Hello, I'm Collins Meredith. If you've been injured on the job, you'll likely have a workers' compensation claim, but you may also have a tort claim which opens up significant recovery rights not normally available for a work injury. If this is you, call us or come see us at Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. No, the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit LouisianaPropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Let's go up to Nashville, where Chris Blair, I think, has moved. I think he's moved to Nashville at this point. Showed up there on Tuesday. He'll be there through Sunday with a little basketball and a little baseball. Chris, thanks for the time. How are you, sir?
I do feel like I need to fill out some tax forms for the state of Tennessee. But, yeah, just watched a thrilling game, man. Kentucky, Missouri, a little tighter than I'm sure all these Kentucky fans wanted to see. But perfect timing for the call, right, between the start of this and Auburn and Tennessee up next. So I've said it before. I don't agree with everything the SEC does. I don't agree with everything they say publicly, but I'll give them this. They know how to put on a tournament. Both in Greenville, here in Nashville, the baseball tournament, and obviously the college, the football championship. They know how to do that. It's a great week here in Nashville.
What do you think the Cats' chances are of getting hot in the months of March? I didn't love the way they played defense yesterday, but they got another win today.
Yeah, it's funny. Coach Brady and I talk about it all the time, and as you can guess, he's forgotten more basketball than I'll ever know, but I'm not so sure there's a lot of teams in college basketball playing a lot of defense.
Yeah.
I mean, seems like every game is 90 or more. I take that back. Tennessee, I think Rick Barnes still puts a big emphasis on that, which I think will be key against this Auburn team. Because Auburn, that's all I've heard today is Auburn in with Miami of Ohio losing in their title game. I think they got to beat Tennessee to get in, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think Kentucky's got a chance. I mean, when you got a guy like Otega Owe he's just a scorer, and then he got some help from Abernathy today. I mean, when they needed some buckets late, those two guys were able to get it. It's funny. They don't seem to respond to their coach, Hunt. Again, it's hard to see on TV, but I've seen Kentucky play now 3 times on the floor. He doesn't look like he's got control of his team, but when they're playing well, they're as talented as anybody in the country, and they're hard to beat.
No question about that. Just one on basketball as that season comes to an end. Max McKinnon was asked to just do a ton once De'Don Thomas and Jalen Reed went down, and he pretty much answered the bell almost every single night. What can you say about his performance down the stretch in his final season of college basketball?
Yeah, I had a chance to tell him and his mother. I'm extremely proud to have been able to watch him play college basketball for the 1 year I got to see him play. He unfortunately, Hunt, and I say this tongue firmly in cheek, didn't get injured, didn't have any issues, and only got to play 4 years of college basketball. Go figure. And I think that's, again, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I kind of like the traditional 4 or 5 year basketball player, not so big on the 26-year-olds. But I think it's unfortunate a guy like that only gets 4 years, and he's done pretty much everything right. But as far as what he did this year, I mean, putting that on his shoulders and having to be a guy that pretty much, if LSU had a chance to win, he had to go for 20. And there were nights, he went for 27, 28, and 34. And I think he gave it everything he had every time out. He didn't have a great game every time out, but he had more than his fair share. And for that, I'll certainly remember the effort of Max McKinnon at LSU.
He had a great year, no question about that, and a tough season for the Tigers. Let's shift over to baseball. You'll see the Tigers at the Hawk tomorrow in Nashville. A tough weekend against Sacramento State, no question about it, but a rebound there on Tuesday against Creighton. How do you feel like the Tigers are going to be mentally when they start SEC play?
It's one of the first things I'll ask Jay when I see him tomorrow at the ballpark is explain to me again the mentality it takes to go from the non-conference to the conference. And it's subtle. And I ask him that because I always think Jay has a very good handle on how you have to approach all of these different sections of the schedule. And like I said, it's subtle. It's not some major change that he's got to go in and change his speech and rah, hey, it's SEC, it really matters now. That's not what it is. But he talks in terms of how coaches and players approach it that I think is very important. And when I look at this series, and I've been studying Vanderbilt, spent all of last night and into the early morning hours kind of getting acquainted with Vanderbilt. These two teams are similar in a lot of ways. I know LSU's got 5 non-conference losses. Vanderbilt with 7. But it's kind of a feast or famine for both of these teams, especially on offense. I mean, when you look at LSU, there are games you just scratch your head and go, they can't get runners on, they can't get them over, they can't score runs, and we're losing, with 3 or 4 runs scored. And then you look at their wins against really good teams, and you're like, wow, they are, 11 runs on 14 hits or 13 runs on 15 hits. That's exactly what Vanderbilt has done. In their wins this year, they're putting 10 and 11 double-digit runs up. And in their losses, they just completely go away offensively, scoring 2 or 3 runs. And I think the pitching duels are going to be interesting. Evans and Fennell to start it off tomorrow. And Fennell 2-0. Evans, picking up his first win. But I think Kaysen has considerably gotten better each and every week. So I think these two teams are very similar. So I think we're up for, an exciting, competitive, and who knows what's going to happen weekend in Music City.
Stephen Milam's an interesting case. We have seen him so good freshman year, Omaha last year, and we have seen him scuffle SEC play last year and then the last 3 weeks. What makes him good when he's good, and what makes him maybe struggle when he's struggling?
Well, Jay told me on Sunday when he put Milam atop the order, he said, look, I looked at his last 3 or 4 at-bats, and he's putting solid contact, got a couple of bad luck, hit it right where they were. But he likes Milam when he's aggressive at the plate, and that's one of the reasons he put him atop the order on Sunday. Now, I know Milam didn't have a great game, but I think when he uses his plate discipline along with being aggressive, and usually that means first pitch approach, and then after that you got to work the count. But he also says when Milam is playing well, I mean, he's going to get 7, 8, 9 pitches to look at, and you're really going to have to fight to strike him out. So we've seen him not be in that form early part of this year. But I thought back to last year, there was kind of a section there where it was he scuffled a little bit. But I just think Milam's got enough equity built in that what he gives you defensively, and what he typically does when you take the body of work in its totality from start to the end, season-wise, I think he's going to be fine. Again, I told somebody this morning over at the arena, the panic button on baseball, I think all of us get caught up in the football mentality of the SEC. And you have to kind of step back a little bit and go, Jay's still trying to find out what combination, what order, and frankly, you and I both know in his 4+ years what it is in March is not what it is in April, and usually it's not what it is in May and June. But I know that the ramping up of the seriousness, sense of urgency certainly will go up this weekend, and I think that'll be the same approach Stephen has, everybody else in that Tiger uniform when they step on the field tomorrow night.
I know you asked Jay about Chris Stanfield on the Coaches Show, the first one this week, and he's mentioned him a couple of times, but got out on the field on Tuesday, which was a little earlier than we thought, and I'm not sure what capacity he can be available, but obviously Jay speaks about him in glowing terms.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the lineup on Sunday and, was talking to guys upstairs in the booth, and I'm like, look, guys, you're talking about a team that got all the way to the finish line, hoisted the national championship trophy, and, yeah, you got some really key pieces back. But you got a lot of new faces, and you've been without Chris Stanfield basically until, the first 2 games. But, from all I understand, and things certainly have changed since I've been here in Nashville, at least I hope so for the positive, it really comes down to a pain tolerance issue. I mean, there's no more, the rehab, all the stuff he needed to do to get healthy is there. Now it's what can he handle from a pain tolerance standpoint. And I think the hitting part, at least at last check before I left town, the hitting part was the last piece to really come around, that it's still kind of difficult for him to grip the bat, get a full energy swing into it. But I mean, if you can get him back, and I would argue at this point, if it's a situation where you got an 80%, Stanfield back, his experience, his talent, hope to see him out there on the field this weekend.
Crazy, but LSU has not played at Vanderbilt since Jay Johnson's first year. It was the last weekend of the season, and LSU just went nuts on offense. Dylan Cruz was on a heater like he did quite a few times in an LSU career, but it's a different kind of ballpark in terms of attendance and the way it's shaped. What can you tell the fans about the Hawk?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's I don't want to belittle Vanderbilt's facilities. I mean, it works for them, but it's what I would call a low-hanging stadium. So I mean, everybody is basically there at the foul line, and you got the Whistler that I'm sure we'll have to contend with, which I certainly I think fans and broadcasters make more of it than the teams do. But it is something that eventually over a 3-hour period is like, good heavens. And, it's one of those deals where he's kind of like, you've heard the saying, he's a you-know-what, but he's our you-know-what. But yeah. I still think it's fascinating that Vandy fans can sit through it for 3 hours. But the dimensions are different. You got the 35-foot wall there in left that protects the building that is the football stadium at Vanderbilt. It's turf. So, I mean, there's some changes you have to adjust to overall. But that was one heck of a weekend to finish up regular season play. That was one of the more dominant weekends that I can remember that surprised me, Hunt. Not that there haven't been dominant weekends by LSU and SEC play. They certainly have. But that one just kind of caught me off guard. And you're right. Dylan and the rest of them were on a heater. It was wild. Balls were flying out of that stadium.
I think Cade Doty got hurt diving on a ball in right field. Does that sound right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's what I remember. Cruz just hitting everything over the fence, and then Cade Doty diving and feeling like he was hurt and not knowing what the next week was going to hold. But yeah, Every once in a while that team could get going on offense, and they certainly did up in Nashville. Enjoy Music City. Enjoy a little basketball today, and we'll be listening over the weekend.
You got it, Hunt. Thank you.
He is Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers up there in Nashville, Tennessee. I was sitting in the press box at Louisiana Lafayette last Wednesday, I guess it was. And I knew that it was packed house, so I looked up the attendance and the capacity at Teague Moore Field in Lafayette, and it was just north of 6,000. And then I looked up Vanderbilt's capacity, and it was just north of 3,500. So UL Lafayette Stadium holds almost twice what the Hawk does. Obviously, Vanderbilt does not have a lot of alums in Nashville. That's relative. It's a pretty small school by SEC standards, obviously, and they have a lot of like Northeast and transplants that come in. Nashville's a blowing up city, and there are plenty of people that went to Vanderbilt and live in Nashville, but like it's not as densely like alumni populated as Knoxville, Tennessee, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Austin, Texas. So they don't have a huge fan base because athletics have never been a big thing there, and the stadium's really small, so it's not the most intimidating place to go. But you can get in some trouble trying to play that wall in left field, and they're really good usually, and they usually have really good athletes on that turf. It's generally like how Tim Corbin has built a lot of his teams. So it is a unique environment to the SEC. I don't have any problem saying that. I think that you would struggle to differentiate between some of the environments in the SEC, but as far as this one goes, it's different. It's smaller than most. The wall in left field is really only Auburn has got something that's kind of like that, and it's just a different feel there in Nashville. So we see how LSU handles things. It just matters how you play on the field, and they'll start things up at 6:00 Central tomorrow, another night game on Saturday, and then an afternoon tilt on Sunday for the 3 games in the SEC's opener for LSU and Vanderbilt. I'll do a lot to preview that game coming up on tomorrow's show. I talked a little bit about the LSU schedule and how things have got to shake out early on at the top of the show today. So if you want to go and catch that on demand, you can certainly do that. It was at 1 o'clock. We will step aside, come back. 30 minutes to go on this Thursday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com. John and the Carpenter's team are experts when it comes to the technical aspect of insurance. It's not the most fun thing to talk about, I know. And oftentimes, as business owners, as CFOs, you look to the back page of that proposal, what's it cost? What is that in monthly installments? Like, what is this going to cost me? That's most business owners' first thought on insurance. That's okay. The Howard Insurance Group will absolutely keep that in mind. But also, what are you buying for that cost? Because it doesn't help you to spend a lot on insurance and then not be covered for these 3 things that you weren't aware of because you just looked at the price tag, and all of a sudden you've paid the premium and you're uncovered for the claim. You don't know when the hurricane's coming. You don't know when one of those employees is going to click that link he or she is not supposed to. That's going to compromise the system. You don't know when there's going to be a fire. You don't know when that car accident's coming. Make sure you're covered and that the policy is properly written. That's what the Howard Insurance Group does. They take premium seriously. They've got multiple markets they can shop to make sure you're getting the fair price, but they're also going to make sure with their team of experts at the Howard Insurance Group that you're covered properly for your line of work. Check them out online at HighlandIG.com. They're here in Baton Rouge, can help you out statewide. It's the Howard Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
Investing in a new roof doesn't have to be overwhelming. At Pelican Roofing, we offer 0 interest for 21 months because everyone deserves a safe, secure home. Trusted, local, affordable. Pelican Roofing, making quality roofing affordable for South Louisiana families.
The Cane's Box Combo, a symphony of flavors. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith with Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. We take great pride in educating our clients about their rights. Whether you're injured at work or while you drive, call our office at 272-5555. Knowledge is power, and you should know your rights after an injury.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan of Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. When insurance companies have been unfair, we've never been afraid to go to trial. Fighting hard to protect your rights, we never settle a case out of convenience. We only settle when it's right for you. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. Now the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home with personalized packages for short-term, long-term, or even around-the-clock care.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Multi-platinum Grammy-winning superstar Zach Bryan is coming to Tiger Stadium Saturday, March 28th for the Death Valley Live Stadium Series, and 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge is hooking you up with free tickets. Register now at 1045ESPN.com for a chance to win.
I'd like to win that, but I doubt I'll win it, if we're just being honest.
Yeah, I think you work here.
I think the listeners might have a bit of an issue if I won the tickets, so...
This is very easy. Just use a fake email address. I've won 12 contests.
Have you here through Guarantee? You're a 12-time winner?
I am, yeah. I always just send a buddy, and I'm like, if you go pick up the 2 tickets, you come with me. It's just a different person.
I'm trying to think the last time I've won anything at all. I can't think of anything that I've won.
So I actually won a shoe raffle like right around COVID, where you put in like $10 and like, oh, you can win these new pair of shoes. And I actually won. I was like, oh my goodness. Like,
wait. What were they?
These were back when the Nike SB Dunks were like first coming out. Like,
so it was a good shoe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like right around COVID, like right before that time, $10 in, I actually won. I was like, man,
that was like an $80 shoe.
I won a costume contest when I was in like second grade. I was Popeye the Sailor Man.
Oh man. How do you remember that?
I mean, in second grade, you're what? You're 7?
Yeah, 7.
So we're talking about 1995.
Oh,
so
man.
I haven't won anything since before Warren Morris hit a homer.
Well, I mean, you watched LSU win a couple things, so
I didn't have a lot to
payoff.
do with it, but I did get to watch some of that. I'm a born loser.
No, we're not.
I was talking about winning contests.
Yeah,
I've
we're not
never
doing
won
that.
anything in my life.
Let's talk about Lifetime Roofing. They do giveaways. I've never won one of those either, but you can. Lifetime Roofing, a Louisiana-based roofing company right here in the state. Plus, they can help you out in Houston and East Texas. Their core values are customer service, quality, and integrity, and they love their community. They're involved in the community. They do multiple roof giveaways from BCA, military giveaways every single year to those in need. And if you're looking for a job, Lifetime Roofing is absolutely hiring actively. And they're one of the only legitimate W-2 roofing companies in the state of Louisiana. They've got openings. They've got benefits, 401k. So if you're looking for a job, Lifetime Roofing is happy to have you on. You can check them out at lifetimeroofingla.com. They do re-roofing, they do inspections, and they give you peace of mind as well as repairs. It's Lifetime Roofing online at lifetimeroofingla.com. I wrote a column for LouisianaSports.net today, and I'm not the point of this segment is not to necessarily illuminate anything. I think you're pretty aware of the way things have gone for LSU basketball over the last 4 years. I just put some numbers to it just for grins, just to kind of take a look objectively and not subjectively at where LSU basketball is. Matt McMahon is 60-70 in his time at LSU and has won just under 24% of his conference games. Just under 24%. For perspective, I went back and looked at some previous coaches. I want to look at men's basketball. Johnny Jones won 47% of his SEC games. That's double what Matt McMahon has won. He went to the NCAA tournament, obviously. Trent Johnson won 39% of his league games, won the SEC in his first year. That's 15 percentage points better than Matt McMahon, 39% to 24%. Nikki Fargas got run out of town here in Baton Rouge, and I think everyone would suggest that program was taking a nap by the time she was done. And she won 51% of her league games. 51%. McMahon's at 24%. That's double. Some other names that come to mind, like Smoke Laval won 59% of his league games. Got fired immediately. Jerry DiNardo, 47% of his league games he won as the head coach at LSU in football. Curly Hallman won 32% of his league games. 32% for Curly. Matt McMahon is at 24%. Like, you're not even really close to any of those. And that keeps in mind that John Brady got fired. He went to a Final Four. Much better. He won the SEC twice. Van Chancellor got fired. He went to a Final Four. Les Miles got fired. He won a national title. Ed Ogeron won a national title. He got fired. Those are all conference championship winning coaches. So it's just not a discussion about the product. I have wrestled a little bit back and forth with the bad fortune that McMahon has gotten. And there's a big faction of y'all that don't care about it, but I think neglecting it is irresponsible. I think neglecting the first year with the NCAA sanctions is irresponsible. I think neglecting the gross underfunding of the program last year is irresponsible. And I think neglecting the 2 injuries this year is irresponsible. However, some of you are rolling your eyes already and I haven't even finished the point. Part of the job as being the head coach is to deal with adverse circumstances. Players get hurt. Players don't pan out. Some recruits you pull in don't work. Guys quit the team. That happened to McMahon. Tyra Ward just up and quit. And some of the job is to make sure that things stay on the tracks. And to look at that win percentage and to look at, what it compares with the coaches over the last 40 years that have been run out of here on a rail, it's pretty obvious. So it's going to be, I'll at least say this. I will at least say this. It's going to be interesting what happens in the next 2 weeks. I did that segment at the beginning of the hour where I don't really care at all about how much any of these individual players make in rev sharing. That doesn't interest me at all. May interest some people. I'm not in the boat. I'm really interested in whether or not LSU wants to take this seriously from a men's basketball perspective. That interests me. That's on the floor. That's results. And I know what this university and this athletic department can be. LSU is playing great golf this spring. Nobody really knows that, but their men's team is very, very good. They've won a national championship in the last 15 years. Y'all know about gymnastics. You know about baseball. You know about women's basketball. You know about football. You know about the superstars that have come out of this place from different sports. Paul Skeens is bordering on the face of the World Baseball Classic. And whether or not you want to take this part of it seriously. That's interesting to me. I don't have the answer. I don't know if they're going to move on from Matt McMahon. I don't know if they're going to bring him back with no money to just punt or bring him back with even more money than he had this past year. I don't know if Will Wade wants the job or if they're willing to pay the money to get him. I don't know how much they want to sink in revenue sharing. I don't know who is going to be in charge of cutting those checks. So the answers to some of those questions, I won't get them all, but some of those questions, that is fascinating to me. And I told you yesterday that I just felt like there was not going to be a long waiting period. I felt like the decision on how serious you want to take basketball was going to be made a couple weeks ago, because we knew where this was headed 3 weeks ago. We knew where this was headed a month ago in terms of what the season was going to look like when it finished. That was evident 6 games into league play. And here we are. So there's no new information. Only a decision that's got to be made. And I'll tell you this, whether or not Matt McMahon, Will Wade, or some other coach is in place in November of next year, like, I'm going to show up to the PMAC on opening night hopeful that they're good at basketball, because this time of year is so much fun when you're good. And I love LSU, and I love watching that program, and I'm going to be in no matter what. But it feels like I'm in the vast minority based on the current landscape. Vast minority. And the only way to get people back onto my side that are invested in watching, I think, is to make a move. But I just can't guarantee that's going to happen. I like McMahon. I'm pulling for Matt McMahon, and I hope that Matt McMahon, if he's the coach here, turns it all around. But it just feels like such an uphill battle at LSU. When you won 24% of your league games, and Curly Hallman won 32% of his league games, and Johnny Jones won almost half of his league games, and you're at 24%, it's just hard to pull optimism out of that. I'm sorry. It just is. For anybody. These are objective numbers. 24%, I'm not making that up. It just is what it is. We'll see what LSU decides to do, and if they do anything. Come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com. FabryChevrolet.com. The entire inventory is online at FabryChevrolet.com. They got that new location, Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Just a hop, skip, and a jump from here in Baton Rouge. If you're looking for big savings on trucks, it's nothing of a drive to St. Francisville. You're talking about $11,000 off Silverados, under 2% APR financing on those, 0.0 APR financing on Sierras, with up to $13,000 off MSRP. These are real deals. So if you're looking for a new truck, want to get behind the wheel of a Silverado, maybe a GMC Sierra, take the drive up to St. Francisville and check out my friends at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Just an awesome family that's been in business here in Baton Rouge for almost 4 decades. 3 locations, 5 brands, great buying experience, wonderful customer service. That's the reputation, and it's well earned at Fabry in their automotive group, and certainly at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. So make that short drive up to St. Francisville on Highway 61. Check out the entire inventory at FabryChevrolet.com.
Transform your living space with Lacoste & Young Remodeling and take your home from outdated to outstanding. Redefine your kitchen for the ultimate culinary experience, or elevate your daily routine with a spa-worthy bathroom retreat. Our skilled team brings 3D modeling to life to ensure your vision becomes a reality. We believe luxury should be accessible and offer tailored solutions to fit your budget without compromising quality. So contact us today for a free estimate. Lacoste & Young Remodeling, providing perfect solutions for your dream home.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith with Locke Meredith Sean Fagan & Associates. We take great pride in educating our clients about their rights. Whether you're injured at work or while you drive, call our office at 272-5555. Knowledge is power, and you should know your rights after an injury.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan of Locke Meredith Sean Fagan & Associates. When insurance companies have been unfair, we've never been afraid to go to trial. Fighting hard to protect your rights, we never settle a case out of convenience. We only settle when it's right for you. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday show is always brought to you by Sagrera Farms, premium Angus beef. You know, herd levels are at the lowest since the 50s or 60s at this point. Our population's grown quite a bit since then. Supply and demand in the beef world is a little bit out of whack, and you're probably experiencing that when you buy your beef. That's the case. You're not happy with the product that you're getting. Not sure how many DNA are in that pack of ground beef. Not sure about use of steroids or inappropriate use of antibiotics. That's never going to happen at Sagrera Farms. And when you buy half a cow from Sagrera Farms, you're getting one DNA. You're getting no steroids ever used, no improper antibiotics, and you know where it's coming from right there off the farm in Ethel, Louisiana, and it's all prime. The standard for prime is 9 on the IMF scale. Talking about select down there at the bottom, 1 to 3. You're talking about choice, which you get somewhere in the choice, and then you got your prime starting at 9. And Sagrera Farms has 10s, 12s, 16s, 18s, 20s on the farm. You know the difference between a great steak and a not-so-great steak. You know the difference between a great burger and a not-so-great burger. At Sagrera Farms, you're guaranteed to get a phenomenal product every single time. It's a genetic process that Sean has mastered. Every single cow is a 3-year process. Raised on grass, finished on grain, dry-aged, 45 days. That's Sagrera Farms' process, and it nets an incredible result every single time. Go up there and chat with Sean. See him at Sagrera Farms. If you don't like the product once you bring it home, you don't pay for it, period. That's what he's willing to stake his reputation on, because it's an incredible product every time. We know firsthand in the Palmer house, you can too. Sagrera Farms brings you our Thursday shows each and every week. All right, let's take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, Hunt, it has finally happened. After finishing the regular season with a perfect 31-0, number 20 Miami of Ohio has been defeated for the first time this year, losing 87-83 to UMass in the quarterfinals of the MAC tournament. This loss could put Miami at Ohio at risk of missing out at a at-large bid for the NCAA tournament. So going 31-1 and missing the NCAA tournament, take it. Well, that shouldn't happen. Take it or leave it.
I'll take that. It should not.
I'll take it.
Because the bubble is so weak and you're dealing with teams that hover around 500 in their league.
Yeah.
You go 31-0 in the regular season, I'm probably going to have to take a hard look at that. Now you might be a 12 seed, but I got to take a look at that. And look, I'm not trying to talk out of both sides of my mouth, I promise, because when it comes down to baseball, I always side with the teams that play a tougher schedule. Yeah. I like more of who you can beat. But if a baseball team is 52-4, I gotta let them in.
Gotcha.
Like I mean, we're not talking about going, 45-11. Then we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
But if you have some astronomical record, I've got to take that in consideration at a certain point, and this is that. So there are going to be baseball teams come Memorial Day that I look at and I go, "You're 1-4 against Quad 1." And I get out of here. I don't care about your Northeastern baseball team. That's part of it. But it doesn't apply in my estimation to Miami of Ohio this year in basketball. They need to be in.
Want to feel any way, Taylor?
You lose one game, you're in the tournament. I mean, I don't know what else they have to do.
Yep. All right, so Max Crosby breaks his silence for the first time since the trade debacle. And this is what he had to say. Everything happens for a reason. Believe nothing you hear and half of what you see. I'm a Raider. I'm back. Run that bleep. Is Max Crosby about to go on beast mode next season? Take it or leave it.
Not for the Raiders.
Whoa, look.
He's
Look.
He's going to be somewhere.
Well, look, they said they're trying to keep him. I'm assuming that means the offers have dried up when they said they're going to keep him. So I just think it's that point where they have to keep him. Like, they're stuck with him. So.
Well, if the knee's that bad, here it is. But I would imagine they're going to try to move him if they were going to. But the offers aren't going to be as good as what they got from Baltimore. So that's what you look at.
Leave it alone. We're going to leave him.
Yeah.
All right, so the Philadelphia Eagles have recovered nearly $1 million from cornerback Jair Alexander after the veteran as he stepped away from football just days after joining the team and never appeared in the game. According to NJ.com, Alexander returned roughly $900,000 to the Philadelphia. I was about to call them the 76ers.
Nope.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Be the Eagles.
So, giving money back to a $1 billion organization, take it or leave it.
I'll take it
I'll take it.
If you don't fulfill your end of the contract, then you don't get the cash. Now, if the contract stipulates you don't have to play and you can collect the money, sure. But I mean, Hester talked about it when he was going to sign a deal with the Seahawks, and they were like, "If you get hurt, we're not paying you." He's like, "Well, I'm not coming." So it's just you got to work it out in the contract before you agree to things.
True.
I realized that he was coming from a different spot.
Yeah, the Ravens.
I mean, it is what it is, but you got to do what the contract says. That's where I am on the whole thing.
No, 100%. It's just the headline, giving back $1 million.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? So I didn't even know they could do that. I guess they went and got it. I don't assume he went and actually gave them back $900,000. So I just had to say that because that's kind of crazy. But that's it for take it or leave it.
Got a question in the Bayou 4 chat before we get out of here from Wash Them Out 1698. Hut, what's the point of these reporters suing LSU for player payment info? I went to journalism school. I know how these journalists think. They believe, in some cases very, very rightly, they're the watchdogs of society. They're the gatekeepers of information, and they're supposed to hold public entities accountable. And LSU is a public entity. I have no problem with these reporters asking for information. And if they believe they have a right to the information, then they can file suit. If the court tells them to kick rocks, then they'll kick rocks. If the court tells LSU, you're a public university, they're asking for public records, you need to hand it over, LSU needs to hand it over. I don't have an issue with it. Unless someone did something wrong, I don't care. So you'll hear about more of it on Matt's show coming up here. I'm hopeful that it all goes over with a nothing burger. I think that's probably the case. But we'll learn more. That's it for our Thursday show. Matt's going to drive you home next on the AVR. We're back tomorrow getting ready for LSU and Vandy on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
It's Colon Cancer Awareness Month here in March. Colon cancer is a common cancer, but it is preventable and treatable when caught early. Screening can detect precancer of polyps before they turn into cancer. So who should get screened? Adults beginning at the age of 45. Anybody that has a family history of colon cancer may need to get screening earlier. Even if you feel healthy, screening is very, very important, and colonoscopy remains the gold standard in screening. So for those at a low risk, you can potentially do it at home, but look, talk with your provider. That's important. They can determine the best choice for you. Ask about your personal risk. Early detection can save some lives. If you've got an established relationship with your primary care provider, that makes all the difference. They can guide you on the right screenings at the right time. So schedule an appointment at auctioneer.org/schedule or through the My Auctioneer app. That's again, auctioneer.org/schedule or through the My Auctioneer app. That's from our friends at Auctioneer.
At Raising Cane's, we hand batter every chicken finger, mix every cane sauce, butter every Texas toast, stir every slaw, and salt every fry. Because when you do it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Lock Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates has won for our clients over $175 million over the decades, but our greatest success is our clients who have chosen and trusted us to help them. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call. You've got nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan. If you get injured, you could be staring at medical bills, repair costs,